There he is, my partner in crime.
How's it going, buddy? It's been a long time. Feels like it has been since
It's been
last year.
too long. Yep. Like how long, Dan? I think it was just before Christmas, wasn't it? Was our last one?
Yeah, it was. We've been busy and kind of haven't been able to link up and lots of stuff going on, but it's been good. I was excited for this.
100%. And I will say this for those who live in Southern Ontario, I speak for everybody's weather, but what we experienced down here was a tease. That is a taste of spring. And for folks who are tired of shoveling it, tired of slipping on it, tired of seeing it, I'd like to think down here in the south, most of our snow is going to be gone by the weekend, just based on temperatures and rain alone. But what's it look like up your way, Dan?
It's beautiful. It's 6 degrees today. Like I just spent a week in Belize, so to have it come home and all of a sudden it's nice warm weather. This is exactly what I hoped for, So getting rid of us. We were 6 degrees today, and we're going to be in those 5 to 6 degrees all week. Same thing. We're not going to lose our snow, unfortunately, but we might beat it down about 50% at least. Anyways, it's good ice fishing time. Actually, this is best time to be out ice fishing. The best weather for it.
True enough. True enough. Stephen, how you doing, my friend? Thanks for all the shares, and of course, Gary, unfortunate to hear about what happened to your hut. Hopefully they find those kind of people that feel that it's okay to bust into somebody's property and take whatever they feel. It's a shame that has to go on, but Gary, our thoughts are with you, and hopefully the final. When he came on to talk to us, Dan, it looked like that fishing had pretty much cured his anger.
Well, he said it did anyways. I believe him. And it's kind of unfortunate, you see that all winter long, but it's also open water season. We have people at boats and marinas that have the same problems. So it's kind of sad to see, but hopefully it all works out for him. And I'm glad the fishing worked out for him.
No kidding. Well, we have a bit of an announcement to make. And of course, there's going to be a series of announcements that we make in regards to the North Channel Walleye Open that is happening again this year. You want to bring us up to date, Dan, on what's been going on behind the scenes?
Lots been going on. We're well and far ahead than we were last year. We've got I think 5 teams registered already, so we're compared to last year. We have 1 at this point, so we're very excited about that. So keep them coming, guys. We love it. I know a lot of guys are coming this year, and we're excited for all of that. And we, the Great Lakes. Thanks to Steve Meetings for jumping on board, giving us that loyalty award that we've been talking about. So everybody who fished last year registered this year, you are automatically in that draw and you can win your registry fee back. So that's a pretty exciting opportunity. And I know Scottie's been working very, very hard on a few projects. And I can't wait for him to get ready to announce all those. And I know it's coming probably in the next coming days. And we're very excited for that. And all of our sponsors that have come back, we're thrilled about that. So a lot of our prizes that we were able to give away last year are already here, committed to us. So things are looking very, very good for 2026.
100%. New sponsor that's jumped on board. I have to find out the finer details. Hopefully I'll find them out as early as tomorrow. And hopefully this weekend we'll be making a pretty cool announcement in regards to what we would call an early bird giveaway. And it's not just one. It could be several. So we'll wait and see. But for right now, as I said, it is cool. The NCAA is moving ahead as expected. And it's nice to see that we've got a bunch of teams that have already signed up. But if you need direction or are interested, head on over to our Facebook page that has the Google Drive link that you can click on and get yourself and your teammate enrolled to participate.
And we're working hard on our promotion this time of year. Because we're further ahead, we're not scrambling down to the 11th hour for our sponsorships. Now we can actually concentrate more on promoting the event and building it up. But I'm really excited what you got on the go because, like we just discussed before, that they can go and we have multiple options and that could benefit everybody. And I like that.
And there's a certain what je ne sais quoi, what you would is we are directing a lot of our attention towards, you ladies, the wives, maybe it's the husbands. But everybody's got a honey-do list that has to get done, and we're going to try and help our participants get that honey-do list done, so that they can participate with ease, without any regrets, without any guilt. It's just going to be a fun weekend of fishing. And
I love the way you lean into that, because that's just a perfect way to put that. And we've spent a lot of time and focusing on women like to fish this event, and we always felt they were getting some kind of, they weren't getting their just due. So we wanted to make sure that the females are recognized. And you're absolutely right. This is a good excuse to join out, jump on board.
Amen. So we're stopping we're stopping nowhere. Everything is open to us. Our ears and eyes are wide open, and needless to say, we're thinking outside the box, and we're thinking of everybody, not just the participants, not just the sponsors, not just the spectators, the organizers, the volunteers, but of course the ones we're leaving at home. So yeah, we're thinking of all of you. We have, and this I will say, Danny, I was really excited. I talk to these lads at great length every chance that I get, because I truly I admire both of them, especially not only of what they've accomplished and sort of the direction they're taking, but how easily it just sort of comes to them. One of the things that we talked about before we went live is their engagement when it comes to being in front of the camera, being in front of the mic. I know folks have asked me, like, Scottie, how do you do it? And I really don't know how to answer the question. So now that I have Ian and our good buddy Christian, I can point at them and just say, "Well, ask them, because they figured it out." And they're not as old as I am, so they still remember how they do it.
What I'm more impressed is you and I are that generation where we can have somebody else as a cameraman filming us, and we're comfortable. We understand the rule. This is all stuff that they just do on their own, and it seems like maybe they're just so used to having cameras everywhere on them that we're not thinking that way. And it's kind of exciting to watch. We get a good experience watching Joseph go through his experiences, and all of our other friends that do that. So yeah, we're keeping an eye on these guys. It's nice to touch base with once in a while, and you realize, like, Jesus, where are you guys going with this? I can't even keep up with that.
100%.
Yeah.
So we'll get a taste of both of them behind the mic. We have a little treat for you. I had asked Christian to put together a little product review, which will be our midway point ad. We'll play that, and we'll get a first-hand look at how comfortable he is in front of the camera and how good he is. But I'm telling you, my days are numbered, man. When you have this kind of talent running around at this age, my days are numbered. So as much as I admire it, I also see the light at the end of the tunnel. But without further ado, and just folks, we want to see your comments. We want to see your questions. Because at the end of the day, what this show is about is how do we get young anglers, the up-and-coming next generation of anglers, involved not only as participants in tournaments, but as volunteers, and perhaps even as organizers and tournament directors. At the end of the day, Danny, you had mentioned I think it's the NWT. They see the problem. I think every tournament trail sees the problem, that we need to engage that next generation of anglers, not just as participants, but to get involved as volunteers, directors, and marshals and everything else.
And currently right now, like there's I don't know what you would call that position that's open right now, but MFN is currently looking for someone in that upper position in the organization to really help and spearhead things. So it's not often that something like that comes up, but it's a good experience if people are eager to get involved with it. But you are volunteering. It's people forget that this is just our time that we feel that we're able to give up to do this kind of stuff so that everybody else can enjoy. So, but I'm with you too. It's kind of curious. I want to talk to the kids and see like what's pulling them into the events. I was a late bloomer to tournaments. I was my late 30s before I even started getting involved with tournaments. So it's what took me so long is kind of disappointing once I got involved with it. So how can we
get that? And we'll get to because I'm just going to conduct kind of like a questionnaire. It is a discussion. We're open to all. Again, guys, we want this to be interactive. If you have questions, if there's something we don't ask that we don't touch on, by all means, throw it in the comments, because we want to get inside the heads of these two, and you're going to help us do it. So without further ado, let us introduce tonight's guests. Good evening, gentlemen.
What's going on, Scottie?
So no more, and Rob Jackson, if you're listening, no more am I going to call you Leuan. I was corrected, and we got it, Rob. Unfortunately, I was trying to update my computer, which absolutely went blank before we went live. So I'm just glad that we have picture, sound, and everything's working. But it's not Leuan, and I'm sure a lot of folks have made that mistake. But the true pronunciation of your first name, go.
So it is Yayan.
Yayan.
And the best way I can probably teach people to pronounce it is think of Ryan, but replace the R with a Y. Yayan. And that's how you pronounce it.
Sorry, Daddy, I just got to write this down.
Yeah. That's the age thing kicker. He has to write it down. He can't
Absolutely, 100%. I'm writing it on my hand. And then, of course, Christian, thanks so much for having a simple name. But Christian DaSilva is with us as well. And please introduce yourself, Christian.
Yeah, my name's Christian DaSilva. I'm 14. I'm a high school bass angler and all species angler and love fishing. And yeah, as you said, I got a simple name, just Christian.
Perfect. Okay, lads, I need your help. Danny and I need your help. And so what we're going to do is this is a bit of a brainstorming workshop type environment that we're dealing with tonight. I think I don't know of any tournament trail that is not having an issue with numbers. I would say the kayak industry in their community is one that is continuously growing, but where they may fall short is volunteers, directors, marshals, just people that genuinely want to help out. So with that being said, what we're doing tonight is we are going to try and figure out not all the world's problems, but just the problems of the angling community, which is how do we truly engage and get that passion lit in the next generation of anglers? And you two are going to help us. Christian, let me start. I'll ask you, when did you start competitive angling?
I started competitive angling when I was around like 11, 12. My dad and my brothers got me into it. We started the Saga City Junior Bassmasters, which is the club I'm a part of. And that's what got me into competitive bass fishing. But I've been fishing all species my whole life. It's a family thing. It's an amazing thing that I got into. And I'm so grateful I got into competitive bass fishing because it's opened like a whole new world to me. And it's taught me so many things. And it's great for the younger anglers, not just myself, but other anglers who want to get into fishing. I think competitive bass fishing is a great thing to get into.
Before we move on, because I know Danny's got a question that he wants to ask you about that thing that's glimmering in the background.
Yeah.
What was it? Like, what was the aha moment? The lighting of the torch, if you will, the light going on that said, you know what, this competitive angling, like I can really get into this. Was it because you won? Was it because you got a big fish? What was it that got you intrigued about competitive angling?
Honestly, exactly how you just said it. It was a tournament on a little small lake called Island Lake. And funny enough, it's actually that plaque right there. I caught my first ever PB largemouth bass. It was a 4.38. And nobody could believe I caught it. And then our seniors had a tournament right after our tournament. So they're all looking at me and wow. And I was like, man, I think I want to do this. Like, I was like, this is fun. And I got so excited and I persuaded tournaments from there. And it was just like, it's just a thing from now. It's a sport that I love doing. And that was a special moment for me. That opened the gates to the fishing community for me for sure.
Right on. Danny, you go ahead.
So last year when we talked to you, you were actually prepping for a big event.
Yes.
And you need to tell us, here we are a year later, we need to know how that all went and what's your story behind all that?
Well, for those of you who don't know, the OBN juniors, Ontario Bass Nation juniors, have a qualifier every year. Last year it was on Lake Erie. And if you win the qualifier, you get sent down to the States, as I will. As Danny said, the trophy in the background, I'll be sent down to Tennessee. But anyways, besides that, the story on Erie, Erie is a very fun fishery, but, as like a younger guy or angler, the nerves can get to you. And it's like, tournament fishing hasn't always been my thing. Like I haven't been doing it for years and years and years. I think I was about a year and a half into it. So the nerves were definitely kicking, but, it's all about just putting your head down, fishing for fun. Sure, it is competitive. Just fish for fun. You can have some competitiveness. Like me and my partner, Michael Florio, we did very well. And thank you to his dad. He was very nice guys. But the whole story, it was very, very interesting story. We booked a a little apartment or motel kind of thing. And, you know, we have all my other juniors from our club staying with us. And after day one, we were leading day one. So, you know, it's like you got to hide all this stuff from them and you got to start gatekeeping. They're like, oh, you got any waypoints? You got any stuff you want to show me? So, yeah, it was a very fun tournament. And you get to know so many more people. I met some awesome people. And it's a great way to get your name out in the fishing community. And if you end up winning it, you get to go down to the States, you get your name out there, and you get an opportunity to win, you know, down in the States, which is obviously a lot more, you know, better than winning up here. But I'm really grateful for OBN, for the juniors. I'm really grateful for it. They put on a great opportunity like for us every year. It's on Lake Erie again this year, August 20th and 23rd, I believe. And for anybody watching it who is a kid or has a kid that would like to get into bass fishing, sign right up, search it up, Ontario Bass Nation. Sign up as a junior. You can compete in your nearest club. I myself am from Brampton, so my closest club would be Mississauga. And every year we have a qualifier. Like I said, this year it's on Lake Erie, and who knows? You can come take the trophy from me if you're really good enough. I wouldn't doubt that there's somebody out there that could take that trophy from me.
Especially on that fishery. You're well said. Wow. Okay. Well, we've learned everything we need to know about Christian and certainly his path and journey to get to where he is now. Now we will speak to the one and only Ian.
Perfect.
I had the pleasure of meeting first. If I'm not mistaken, we first met at Jim's kids event at Sealy's Bay, wasn't it?
Yeah,
that was the first place I met you. And I'll be honest.
Yeah, for sure.
Then I was right away.
Foremost, I have to thank you guys for having me on this incredible platform to discuss something I am so passionate about, which is fishing, and more specifically, getting the youth involved in fishing. I think that is such a huge topic that isn't talked about enough right now. But like you said, more people are coming to light. They are seeing what's happening in the industry right now and realizing we need to have more youth access to the sport. So it's a topic I am super passionate about. I do as much as I can to help the youth fishing scene, especially in Ontario. But there's a lot of work that has to be done to get it to where we want to see it and to have a great future for the sport of bass fishing.
Awesome. Great segue. And I will say this, your partner Aiden is going to be coming on from time to time as well. But, again, I love your partnership. You guys are, the yin to your yang, you're the white to the black, the north to the south. Like, you guys just fit together perfectly. Have you always been competitive fish anglers together, or did you just meet at a tournament? How did that all happen?
So it's kind of funny. My whole competitive fishing background, I would say, is pretty different from most people. So how I kind of got introduced to the whole tournament fishing was through my best friend at the time when I was 12. And I was walking down to a Boy Scout camp with him, got the backpacks on, we're trucking down, and we're talking about what we want to do when we grow up. And I've been introduced to fishing the same way that most people have. You go down to the local dock with your father, box of worms, a rod, a couple hooks, a couple weights, and you catch your fish and you fall in love. And that's where the passion started for me, catching a 4-pound smallmouth, and I fell in love. But that's all I knew about fishing. That was it, was, on the weekends, your free time, you go down to your local dock, you take out your tin boat, you put a worm on the hook, and you wait for whatever bites. And that's all I knew about fishing until I was with my best friend at the time, walking down this Boy Scout camp, and he goes, I want to be a pro bass fisherman when I grow up. And I go, what are you talking about? A pro bass fisherman? He goes, yeah, pro bass fisherman. I'm like, that can't be a thing. Sure enough, get home from the camp, and I start looking this up, and I was amazed. There's so many different career pathways in the fishing industry, especially the tournament industry, that you can take and make a living off of doing what you love. So that's where it kind of started for me. I started researching a whole bunch. I started watching the Bassmaster Elites on the TV. I drove my mom insane. She had to listen to all the Elite Series tournaments on repeat for an entire year straight. And And luckily, she's become my biggest supporter. Like I can't thank her enough for that. But where I went from there was pretty interesting. So I started using artificial lures, going down to my local dock, throwing a little salt and pepper Mr. Twister on a chartreuse walleye head, and catching everything: walleye, pike, largemouth, smallmouth. And I was like, wow, this is cool. Went to crankbaits. I'm like, oh yeah, this stuff does work. And a year later, so I've been 13 at the time, this tournament pops up on the South Nation River out of Castleman. Small, tiny river. You fish for yourself. You could be 3 in a boat. So I messaged my best friend. I'm like, hey, man, there's a tournament. This is our chance. We can get into tournament fishing. And my family had a boat that we bought to use for our vacation. We grew up on a farm, so there was no going on vacation. So we got a boat for our vacation. So I asked my dad, I'm like, hey, can you take us out for the day? We want to fish this tournament. And he agreed. So for the next couple months, I would get dropped off on the shores of the South Nation in Castleman. And I'd walk up and down that bank, and I'd throw everything I could until I figured out what they ate out there. And it's a weird fishery, dirty water, full of weeds. The smallmouth act like largemouth in there. And tournament day came, went out with a KVD 1.5 crankbait, sexy shad color, and I chucked and winded that all day long. And I got 3 bites. I got those 3 bites in the boat. I had my limit, and those were the only fish to hit the boat all day. We get to weigh in, and my hopes aren't high. I've only caught 3 fish, but we weigh in, and I ended that tournament in 2nd place. And I can tell you, if you were there in the crowd that day, you could see the gears turning in my head. I was like, I just entered a tournament, paid $20, and I just won all these prizes and a bit of cash. I need to figure out how to do this. And that's where it went on for me. Like, I just went head first. I researched as much as I could, found every tournament I could possibly fish in Eastern Ontario, and started fishing. But the problem I had was there was no mentorship, there was no guidance, and no one I really had in my life that knew anything about tournament fishing. So I dove in head first. It was, mainly self-taught. And there was a lot of wasted time, a lot of wasted money, and a lot of wasted days competing in bass fishing, not having a clue what I was doing. But over the years, I learned, I've met some great people, and I ended up doing better and better. And now I'm in the full swing of things, fishing as much as I can. I spend at least 100 to 150 days a year on the water. I'm very thankful for that. And over the last 11 years of competing, I've been fortunate enough to compete in Canada's biggest series, biggest tournaments, like the Renegade Bass Series, the Renegade 150 and Unders, Shootout Fishing League, the Thousand Islands Open, the Kingston Open, all the smaller open tournaments like Big Bass Megabucks, the LaFave Open. And I've been fortunate enough to cross the border and start fishing the Bass Nation stuff in New York. And over the last 11 years of tournament fishing, I have been more than grateful to have met some of the most amazing people. I've worked with some incredible brands, and now work very closely with some incredible people. I have some great mentors in my life, some great fishermen that are now passing the reins down to me and teaching me everything they know about bass fishing. And over the years, through fishing, I was out on the ice one day, ice fishing with a few buddies, and I met Aiden. And we started chatting about fishing, how he's seen me out fishing with an old coworker of his. And I was like, oh, cool. Like, you're all into the bass fishing too. And he was just kind of getting back into fishing after not fishing for about, I think, 10 years. So we fished a few times on the ice, and then spring rolled around. I just bought a new to me boat, older Pro Craft. I got the boat, went out, second time on the water with it, the motor blew up. Hopes, dreams, everything gone. It was my first bass boat. A lot of hard work went into buying that, and Second time out for the early catch and release season, the motor blows, and that was a whole situation, a whole story. But me and Aiden, we ended up going and looking at a few boats for himself. And we found one. I won't say I told him to buy it. I said the exact opposite, but he did buy it. And we brought it back home. We fished out of it a few times. And while my boat was in the shop being repaired, I get a call. And we're out on his boat for, I think, the first time. We're fishing a small little lake in the Leuan region. I get a call. Sorry, your boat can't be repaired. You're looking at a whole new motor. And broke my heart. I'm 19 years old. I can't afford a new motor. I can barely afford the rods and reels I'm using. So I'm signed up for the Renegade Bass Tour at this point. I've got all my entry fees paid. I've got my money for the season put away. And I'm on the boat and I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh my God, this is being ripped away from me. Everything that I love, like my entire life, is dedicated to the sport. And I can't do it this year. So Aiden turns to me and he's like, man, let's fish out of this boat. And I said, you sure? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So I towed that 1987 boat home, took all the electronics off my boat, put it onto his boat, and the next day we were driving to Newborough Lake for the Renegade Bass Tour Qualifier 1. And we blew his motor. We blew his motor out of the tournament.
Smokes.
We found the winning fish. While everybody was going around with live scope, we were 2D'ing the suspended smallmouth and figured out a few ways to catch them. We were boat 5 to blast off in the morning, and I said, man, like, we found them. We're good. No one else in front of us is going to go to this area. Sure enough, the third boat out landed on the spot, and we couldn't fish it. We went about 100 yards away, started fishing around another shoal, and we watched them blast these fish, and they went on to win the tournament. But throughout the day, we left that area, went to a few spots, and we came off plane, heard a loud pop, and sure enough, the motor was blown up. So we were both without a boat for the rest of the year, did a lot of shore fishing. But then I was fortunate enough to buy the boat I have now, my beautiful Skeeter. And since then, it's been history. We've been fishing tournaments together for 5 years now, and we've had some success along the way. We've grown as a team, but like you said before, we are yin and yang in the boat.
It's unreal.
Never fished with someone that we don't even have to talk. We don't even have to think. We are just on the same page all the time. And to find that in tournament fishing is very, very rare. I've fished with probably 10 partners over the years, and to find someone where you work that good with, it is so rare. So I'm thankful to have met him and fished with him over the years. And
well, I have to say, like, this is my favorite picture of you two, and I think it best describes what you're all about, because every time anybody approaches you or you approach them, this is what you see. Like, this isn't, for, our show. This isn't for, the cameras, the sponsors. This is how Aiden and I are 24/7, especially when you're around them, even when their engines are blown. Trust me when I say that. Danny, you've got what have we got? You have 30 seconds to tell us, because Ian took the 25 minutes or whatever it was. You got 30 seconds to tell us, how did you get into competitive fishing and what lit your passion?
What lit my passion for competitive fishing? First of all, I got talked into my first event. I just was told that, like I said, I was much later in life when we did it. And they just said, it's a lot of fun. You kind of get back what you put in, even if you don't do well. It's just a good experience, and that's what talked me into it. And that's why we approached that same mentality with the NCAA, because it was a lot of fun. And my first tournament, me and Mar, and we're running our home water, so we're at the Spanish River. We don't fish the river; we like the big side. So immediately, I started looking at everybody, and I said, This is a learnable skill. This isn't just luck, and I'm going to figure it out. And that was where my passion kind of grabbed me. And most of the people that I said I'm going to be better than you and you are all friends of mine nowadays. Like, we all became friends after that. But they're people that I chase, and I give them a good run for their money many days. But I haven't beat most of them yet. But that's my goal. And as I'm getting better, they're getting better. But that was my drive for it. I love fishing. Period. I never found it difficult to go out and catch a lot of fish and have a good time, but I was just like catching that one, the one that counts, the one that will cash a check, or, going out, as you've seen in some of the events we fish where you're fishing in a, 40-kilometer winds and 5-foot waves and pouring rain, like that's tournament day. You got a choice to go, and we don't practice in that. So it's another challenge to try and get through. So that's kind of what's pushing me is, learning the technology, learning the environment, and just keep getting better and better and better. And unfortunately for me, my friends are getting better and better too. So it's
amen to that.
No, these guys are behind us. There's always somebody behind us.
Absolutely. Sorry. All right. So I have something, because this is one of the things that truly intrigues me about all three of you, really, but especially Christian and Ian, is your presence in front of the camera. And we have the luxury. Christian had downloaded this for us. This is one of the reasons that I am truly intrigued by this young lad. And this is a product demo that he does, and he does several of these, and he's going to do more for us. But have a listen. This is truly something to hear.
Hey everybody, Christian DaSilva here. Got some soft plastic baits here that I want to show off for you guys. I'm going to do a little quick video, but yeah, let's get into it. Here we got the X-Zone Stealth Finesse series, and this bait is a stealth creature. It is a 2.75 inch in a color of grass crawl. Now, all anglers have their own opinions, have their own preferences. For me, the way I like to rig this bait is on a drop shot. Now, this bait can be killer for smallmouth, for walleye, for perch, whatever you're fishing for. For me, I love fishing for smallmouth bass. So if I'm using a drop shot, I'm definitely going to use this. This is a key bait. Now, it's been proven to catch fish. And if you're looking to grab some from X-Zone, I'll put the website in the link after this at the end of this video. Or if you want to stop by your nearest Bass Pro Shops or your nearest store and grab some X-Zone baits. And while we're on the topic of drop shots, here's another drop shot bait that I love to throw. Right here I have the 6-inch MB Fat Finesse Worm from X-Zone. This is in a peanut butter and jelly color, one of my favorite colors. It's an amazing color to throw for smallmouth and largemouth. It's a killer color. Now, not only can you throw it on drop shot, like I said, but you can also throw it, which is my personal way to throw it, is on a wacky rig. Now, you don't have to have an O-ring. This is all preference. I like to throw O-ring on there. It helps you save more baits. Now, if you do want to get some awesome baits like these, and they're proven to work, these baits have helped me in so many tournaments down in Lake Erie and other tournaments, and these baits can for sure catch fish. Now, if you want to grab some baits, I'm going to put a link at the end of this video. Or if you want to go to your nearest Bass Pro Shop or your nearest store, or the next show, which is the March 19th to 22nd, you can catch me there. Go stop at one of the booths, grab you some X-Zone stuff. Hope to see you there.
Good job, bud.
Cool stuff. All right. Now that we've done what we needed to do to get to know the three of you when it comes to tournament angling, now let's start to get others involved in it. I went around the room, and obviously there's a consensus because there was an association that got you involved in tournament angling. Christian, obviously it was your dad and some of his buddies. Were they the I would say primary force in not pushing you, but exposing it to you and allowing you to sort of enjoy it at your pace, at your leisure? But at the same time, they were also being mentors. And I think based on what you're saying, that mentorship was truly integral to you becoming where you are and enjoying bass fishing at a competitive level as you do.
Yeah, honestly, my dad definitely got me into it. My dad and my brother, they're big into the tournament fishing. They do the senior club. But honestly, the main thing that really intrigued me is watching the elite guys. The elite guys, you know, seeing what they can do, seeing, you know, these guys in these fancy boats cashing checks for hundreds of thousands of dollars. And it's not just about the money, but just the excitement and all the cameras on you and all the fame. You know, it gets to you, and it gets not only mine but other young minds excited. And catching that big fish and catching a fish, winning a tournament can just like excite your mind and just open a whole nother world of bass fishing to you. And honestly, I will say my dad got me into it, but the elite guys, that's where I started my interest, is watching all these guys on YouTube like Cooper Gallant. I said it before. He's a big reason I like bass fishing, is learning from him, talking about, X-zone baits, him talking about how to fish these baits and, technology and how he uses it. It's a lot to learn. And once you start to learn it and then you use it in real life and you see that it works, you get that feeling where it's like, I can do this. And it's like, I can catch these fish. And soon you're going to start learning and you're not going to have to listen to these guys anymore. So, definitely being on the water teaches you, but the elite guys, the mentors from my club, there's a lot of guys that, teach me some stuff. They give me baits, all this stuff, take me out on their boats. And it's like, the time on the water, it's just so enjoyable. And, talking with all the senior guys that have, been to the States, fished these tournaments and telling you about their experiences. And it's like, dude, this is sick. Like, I want to do this. I want a shot to do this. And they're all great mentors, but yeah, it's definitely something all young minds should get into, is fishing.
That's awesome. So, Ian had a friend, obviously Danny as well. You had friends that got you involved, and of course your dad and his buddies. Okay, so we're at that tournament level now, Christian. Something that is unique for someone your age, because you don't see it very often. It's one thing to participate, but it's another thing to then volunteer and to become a part of the staff, if you will.
Yeah.
What drew you to that? Was it your dad dragging you along at 5 o'clock in the morning for a blast off? Like, walk us through all that. How did you get so involved?
Well, the first ever volunteer work I think I did was an open tournament. It was on Gloucester Pool. It's a Mississauga Open that they do every year. That was the first thing I ever did, and I'm not going to say I enjoyed it because, the volunteer work was kind of annoying, but what really intrigued me is seeing these guys bringing up all these fish, and it was like, you know what, I can do this volunteer work. This is pretty nice. Sure, I'd rather be fishing it, but the volunteer work is definitely something that you don't see as much. It's definitely more of the fishing side you see from the younger anglers, but volunteering is just as important. Volunteering is what got my name out more than just fishing. Like, working with CSFL at all these shows, they put your name out. You learn a lot of stuff too. Like, you can talk to all these anglers. Volunteering at other opens. Like, I know I volunteered at a couple berry opens and some tackle swaps. And, it gets your name out. You get to know people. People get to know you. And, it's a great community and everybody gets connected very easily because, bass fishing, it's not a big community, but we all see the same way for each other. And the volunteer work is definitely a way that young anglers should get into, because they can get their name out more than just fishing. And I think that's the more important part, is the volunteer work. Because once you put in that volunteer work, your name's going to be out there and you're going to learn all this stuff about fishing. Like the Joey T's, my friend Bardia, like these guys, they've all taught me stuff just from doing like volunteer work with CSFL at tournaments, at tackle swaps. And you can learn a lot more. Like it's a great experience. I think every young angler that enjoys bass fishing should get into the volunteer work. It's, whether you want to do the work or not, it's a great thing to do. You can learn so much, and it's taught me so many things. I've got so many mentors from it, and it's an amazing thing. Honestly, I can talk all night about it.
That's cool. That's cool. I wish we had all night to talk about it. Danny, obviously, first a participant, and then you got into volunteering, and now you're a tournament director. What drew you into that avenue? Was there something that intrigued you about tournaments and running them?
Well, running a tournament, I wanted to bring a tournament back to my hometown, and I just didn't see anybody else willing to do it. So I figured if you want, you might as well just step up and do it. So that's kind of where that role came from. Not that I really knew what I was doing. Just kind of jumped into it with my work experience, basically, to help me do that. Volunteering, though, I really enjoyed that, being part of the NLWT and all the events. And I was always kind of captivated. And Scottie, you've seen these events, and you know what I'm talking about when you see how hard, like, you know, the Jessicas and Christelles and Chantels and all them are working. You kind of wonder, like, what's the nuts and bolts behind the thing that makes it happen. And the amount of time it takes is kind of overwhelming when you really get down to it. And I volunteered for community events here in town with rock concerts and stuff like that with my background. So I kind of wasn't going into it naively, but it's still impressive, and it's hard on people. It definitely is. So there's definitely, the more the merrier. Getting people getting in for the right reasons is probably another big thing. A lot of people are just trying to get in as, here I am, not realizing that what you're doing is not really going to be noticed. People are not really going to notice you other than the people that are actually there, kind of thing. So that was kind of interesting to see all that kind of aspect. But I've grown a lot of respect for everybody involved, whether it's the anglers and or the organizers or the volunteers, because you just realize how much work everybody puts in. And I don't feel that it's anybody's working harder or less than the other person, because when the weather's shitty and terrible, we're out there, but the volunteers are also out there, and they're not just waiting for us; they're waiting for 60 boats to come in, and they got to handle boats, they got to handle fish. So it kind of plays a lot on everybody else. So I have a lot of respect for everybody that does it, and I think that's kind of, it's that bragging right too, because we've done it. It's you're doing it, and your success is kind of thing. We get to go, and we pride ourselves on. We talk a lot about going into the U.S. because they're just bigger tournaments. It's not that the fishing's any better. It's just that the events are just larger and there's more prizes. And I think Canada has got to pick up that it takes that volunteer group and those organization groups to find that money and to do all of that kind of stuff. As anglers too, we have to step up when someone does all that work. Amen. And it's nice to see. I do see there's a gap. There's the late 30s and early 40s. We're kind of at the tail end of things, and then you got that 20 somethings. There's a missing in between, I find.
100%.
It's nice to see that. I'm glad these guys are here. I really am.
Oh, it warms the heart, I'll tell you. And of course, we know you more as the participant angler, but again, you've obviously volunteered. You volunteered, for Jim's events. Obviously you prefer to participate, but what did you enjoy about volunteering?
So volunteering, how that kind of started for me and what opened my eyes to getting the youth into fishing was when I was 13, before even fishing in a tournament, I hosted my own ice fishing tournament at the local bay where I had my ice hut, and it became a great success. And I had a community group host a barbecue there. And years later, the woman who ran this barbecue at my ice fishing tournament sent me a message. And she said, hey, one of my sons fell in love with fishing, the outdoors in general, but he loves fishing and he wants to get into competitive fishing. So I said, okay, that's amazing. How can I help? She's like, I don't know how to answer his questions or what direction to point him in, but I know that you fish tournaments. So I gave her all my contact information and told her, get him to send me a message. He sent me a message, and I loved it. He sent me an email, actually, and it was titled, hi, my name's Sam, and I want to be a pro bass fisherman. And I said, yeah, me too, man. So that kid, he was so enthusiastic and so passionate about fishing and turning that passion into profession, which is my motto, turning my passion into my profession, that I was like, I want to help this kid any way I can. So he came over one day. I showed him the boat. I showed him the fishing room, and I explained how tournaments worked. And from there, I took him out for the catch and release season on the St. Lawrence. We caught a bunch of fish. I signed us up for a local tournament. We went out. We tanked that day. But either way, that kid had this just light in his eyes about fishing tournaments. So over the years, I took him out with me a bunch, taught him about tournaments. I sent him a bunch of information about joining clubs like the OBN, the Ottawa Valley South Bassmaster, joining as a co-angler. And from there, that's where I seen there was I don't know how to explain it. Basically, not enough information readily available for youth anglers and the directions they can go to get involved with the sport, especially the area I'm in. I'm as east in Ontario as you can go, and there's no information. So from there, I started helping a few other kids, just taking them out on the boat fishing, teaching them everything I could about fishing. And from there, I loved it. I loved the volunteering. I loved helping the youth. So I just started volunteering at every kids fishing tournament or youth program I could. So like you said, we met at Big Jim's kids fishing tournament, which was incredible. I loved that tournament. I volunteered at a Kids for Fishing event, which is held on the native reserve, the Akwesasne Reserve, just across from Cornwall. And we take them all. We take a huge group of kids. There's about 40 of them. We have about 20 bass boats, and we all take them up this river, and we catch a bunch of smallmouth. And then one that I really loved last year, I love the format, was Peter Lamard's Angler and Young Angler Tournament, where it's a tournament format, 3 fish limit, 8 to noon. You go out with this kid and you fish a tournament together. Went out, did that. We had a great time together. We ended up winning the tournament, and you could just see this kid was like, this is what I want to do, just like I was at his age. So any chance I can get now, or any way I can help out the youth fishing scene, I'm gladly there. I'm happy to put in as much work as I can and just see that next generation come in and thrive in this beautiful sport.
Holy smokes. Okay, I didn't know all this. I'm learning stuff. Holy. Okay, so the end of the day, if you want to know how to get kids into fishing, talk to Ian. That's basically it. Because I was hoping we were going to problem solve, but you've already ticked all the boxes. There's nothing left to tick. You know, Gary had mentioned too about the hours. So let's start talking more a little bit about the volunteer. You have volunteered, as you mentioned. You've given your time, which is so important, especially getting this next generation involved. Is there anything else that you could say from a tournament, like for us tournament directors that might be listening? What can we do to incentivize volunteers to come out and participate?
So that's, I think, a tricky question, because I've come to see it in the sport a lot. You talk to a lot of people, a lot of tournament fishermen, people, maybe not even tournament fishermen, but fishermen that are always on the water, your volunteers at events, and you talk about getting the youth into fishing, and they're all about it. They want to see the youth come into fishing, but when it comes time to putting in the work, putting in the time, the hours to volunteer at these events or create events for these youth to fish, it seems that people just kind of disappear. They're not there anymore. They're not there to put the work in. So as a organizer trying to get more volunteers to help with that situation, I really don't know what we can do to kind of entice people to become a part of it. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure about that one.
So it's definitely a tough question. And we all, unfortunately, hit that stumbling block or that wall when it comes to ideas. But needless to say, this is why we're talking about it. Christian, I'm going to ask you next. Obviously, based on how you started your volunteer days, what could you suggest going forward that might incentivize outside of the hours for high school, which I think is important? But is there anything else you can think of that could be done from a tournament perspective that would help get more volunteers out?
Honestly, like you said, it's a really tough question, and for me, it was just my dad took me one day, and I enjoyed it, and I've been doing it ever since. So I think it's just like, honestly, we gotta get gotta find some way, like they'll come out just for once. And I think usually once you get a kid out once just for volunteer hours, they're usually going to like it. On how to get them out, that is a tough question. I honestly don't know. Me, I was kind of dragged out. I didn't really have a choice. But I don't know. It's a very tough question. And all kids are different. Some kids want to learn. Some kids just want things given to them. And honestly, I just want to learn, because at the end of the day, all these anglers, fishing these tournaments, making all this money, like they know what's best. So it's best just for me. I like learning from these guys. That's why I still keep going. And it's not just the volunteer work. I like talking with these anglers, socializing, and especially the CSFL events, get to socialize with a bunch of guys. And Andy's a great guy. He's an amazing guy. I love talking with him. He's one of my best buds, honestly. It means the world to me. But honestly, I don't have an answer for you. It's a tough question. And every kid's different. So.
And I will say, Danny, based on what we have seen, it's got to be fun. Like, right? I would have to say that if you're not enjoying being out there as a volunteer, you spoke about it, the number of hours of downtime waiting for that next boat to come in, that next fish, that next bag of fish. There's a lot of waiting around, and it can be tough to keep yourself entertained. We said one of the things we definitely want to be known for is feeding our volunteers. And I think food is very important.
Yeah, we had a formula, we had a plan, and we stuck to it, and it proves that it works. And it's not that it's a brand new. We were just taking what we've seen in the past work and just milling again. But when you go back to our volunteers, if you look at what happened here in Spanish, out of our 20 volunteers, only 2 of them were anglers.
Yes.
Every other family, like a lot of it was family, my family, Nick's family, my son and daughter's friends that came. They don't even know how to fish. They don't even know tie a knot, and they're looking forward to coming back next year because they had fun. But a lot of that fell on our shoulders. Where we're you and I, Scottie, we had 90% of this ready, even though we were kind of winging it right till the end. This was our first event, but all the blocks fell into place, so the volunteers didn't have to work hard. They had to do their job that we asked them to do. They were able to have fun, and that was the thing too. We kind of encouraged that. Music's playing, people are dancing, people are talking. At the end of the day, we want a professional event. We have strict rules in place. We have rule marshals and everything else in place because there's a lot of money on the line, and we want to grow this. But on the other aspect, you still want to be able to have a lot of fun. It can't be all business, right? 100%. And I think we got very lucky, and I just don't know how we actually got there, to be honest with you. I've kind of scratched my head, and I've got more that I said, yeah, I'll come next year. Okay, perfect, awesome. Or they're looking forward to it. I'm like, you guys never fished. I don't even think been in a boat kind of thing, So it's what did we do that helped that? But we need more help like that, and it's I don't know. I was hoping these guys would have a way better answer than I have. But they kind of fell in the same line we did. So it's kind of universal, the struggle. But we seem to manage. I thought we seem to get
100%. So the one thing, and we're just we're running out of time, so I want to get to this because this is really important. And when you hear Ian speak to the one and only Ron James during the CISA event, and this is first thing in the morning. I saw this interview. I was front and center for it, and I had the pleasure of listening to it not only after but live when it was being done. And they were frantically putting their boat together. And I'll tell you, just listen to Ian respond to the questions.
Cut line for the money. You're obviously going to get some Milwaukee prizes, which is still phenomenal. But to make that cut and bring in a dirty 30, you got a chance to win this.
Absolutely. Like, we need an absolute monster bag, but it's doable out here. It really is. This lake is insane, full of big fish. They're hard to get to bite and get in the boat. I mean, you're only getting maybe 8 to 10 big bites a day, and to get them in the boat is another story. They like to jump. They like to spit hooks. It's a wild ride out there. Like yesterday, I had a 5-pounder on for about 4 minutes, jumped right beside the boat, spit my bait at me, and luckily this guy was on the net and caught it midair. So they're wild out here to get in the boat, but totally doable to bring in a big 30-pound plus bag, and hopefully we can do it.
Well, there's a young team you got to watch out for.
Absolutely, they are. And I have to say, that's like 5. What was that? I am 5 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I think it was about 5 a.m. We just got the talon put back on the boat. Like you said, we were frantically getting the boat back together. but nowhere else on planet Earth I'd rather be than ready to blast off on Lake Ontario at 5 in the morning.
True enough. Well said. And of course, when it came to some of the live coverage, a lot of their performance kept us engaged and pretty intrigued, as you can tell by this.
Different things. How different was the pre-fish compared to?
Oh my lord! Oh my!
Uh-oh.
Wow,
Dude, that's a 7-pounder.
wow!
That is going to be an interesting one to see at the scales.
Holy smokes!
So not only are they good at doing what they're doing, they're good at doing the fishing aspect of it. Of course, something too that I want to talk about before we go is your presence in front of the camera. We just heard you firsthand, Ian, and of course we saw your product demo during our break there at the halfway point, Christian. But again, what was it that compelled you to get behind the mic? And I'm speaking to you, Christian, only because, as I said, that is what really, I think, turned the page and turned my focus to you, was your presence behind the mic and in front of the camera. Tell us a little bit how that all came to be.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like talking to other anglers, like learning stuff, like I said, like I've been talking about it this whole time. I'm sure you understand. Talking to anglers is my favorite thing in the world. You learn so many things, and talking about products. Like for me, I'm a big X Zone guy, and so are the Joeys. They're big on the X Zone. They just came out with a new bait, the GBO. They were talking to me about it, showing me about it, how to fish it. And at the time, this bait didn't come out yet. So, it's really interesting and you want to learn. But it's not just about like talking to the anglers. It's, for me, I've always had a social media side to me. Like, I've always wanted to do some sort of YouTube or interviewing, and it's always been interesting for me. And I think every angler, not just young anglers, every angler should get into like interviewing and just, doing product reviews like I do, and like a couple other juniors I know do. I know Trevor does a fair amount of those. And he honestly got me into that. Like Trevor told me, you want to do all these interviews. That's what's going to get you out there, and that's what's going to help you. And now that I'm not even doing it to help me anymore. I'm doing it because I absolutely love it. Like talking about fishing, and especially in front of a camera where I can share my knowledge like I am right now. It's absolutely the love of the game for me. And, especially when people come up to me in person and ask me like, hey, I've seen your videos before. I had a kid come up to me and say, hey, I've seen your videos before. And he talked my ear off about some X Zone products. And it's just like, meeting people who have seen you in like online and have learned stuff from you, and me knowing that I can teach people about something I love. And, X Zone is an amazing company that I love to promote. And I always hear good things back from whoever I promote it. I got a couple buddies, a couple of my dad's friends who always say like, the bait you recommended me is a killer. Definitely going to listen to you from now on. It hits me in the bottom of my heart. Like I love helping people. So knowing that my videos and, telling people like how to rig your bait, what to use, just in general, I love doing it. And I love how people like actually watch the videos, and, I really appreciate it at the bottom of my heart. I really do.
Well, that's very well said. And I will say you touched on Trevor Barnew's interesting story with that, and Trevor can be the witness and my testament to it actually happened, because I said to him at the Spring Fishing Boat Show a number of years ago, he was a young lad. I wasn't looking up to him at that point, which I was very happy about. But I said, one of these days you're going to be on this stage. You're going to be in front of the tank. You're going to be doing product demonstrations. I've seen you do a couple of your videos. I like how you edit the videos and how you put them all together. But I said, one of these days you're going to be on that stage. And I will never forget. It's one of those things I'll take to my grave. When Jason, his dad, he said, Scottie, and I could hear him on the loudspeaker, come around the corner for a second. And I came around, there he is on top of the tank doing a demonstration. And it was like, yeah, I'll tell you, it was awesome. It was such a feel-good moment for me to see it firsthand, because I'd been telling him for years, you're going to be there. I promise you, man, I'm telling you, you're going to be there. And I will say that for both you and Ian, I am just taken back by your angling prowess. All three of you, really, in all fairness, all three. I'm enamored by your angling prowess. But I'll say with the two of you young lads, I really want to see where you're going to go, not just from a competitive standpoint, not as a participant standpoint, but where you're going to go with, the social media, the interviewing, the videos. I am going to be one of your biggest fans. I'm not going to lie. I'm intrigued and at the edge of my seat every time I see you guys posting something, because I learn a few things. You know what I'm saying? Danny, we're at the end of the hour, but I don't want to be the last person to speak. So I'd love for you to chime in here, if you could.
I got to be honest there. When Christian was talking and I was watching that clip and everything else, I had to write it down. I just got a great idea for the NCWO. So I thank you, Christian. And in fact, I might even see if you're interested in being part of this. So yeah, I'm going to pitch that to Scottie later. We're going to run through this whole idea, but no, it's great talking to you guys. I'm obviously Christian. We bumped in numerous times and we've talked, and we're going to see each other in a couple of weeks for sure. And might even see Ian over there as well. I'm not sure if you're going to the Sportsman Show, but we'll all be running around talking fishing, and you guys are doing fantastic. And Ian's back wall is better than my back wall, that's for sure.
All exo.
Yeah, I get a lot more.
Well, with that, it is the end of our Power Hour, and I want to thank both Christian and Ian for joining us. Of course, as Danny, as my partner in crime. We enjoyed doing this. We're going to do more of it. We're going to have these two with us, hopefully on a regular basis, although they're the participant side of things are going to get a little busier as we move a little bit further on, and this wonderful weather keeps teasing us with the thought of open water. But again, thanks to the two of you. This might end our broadcast or our live, but please, I invite you to stick around, because the after party is even better when it comes to the Power Hour. I want to bid you all farewell. Have yourselves a great week, and thanks everybody for joining us, participating, leaving a comment, and hopefully if you didn't see it from the beginning, go back. It was worth a listen. All the best.
Thanks, boys, and thanks everybody for tuning in.
Thanks again, guys.
Thank you, guys.